Good evening. Would you like to play a game for the
Yeah,
31 Days of Horror? Okay.
yeah.
If you look down to your left by your shoe, there's a hacksaw. You have to cut off your own leg. Okay. And now for the 31 Days of Horror, you have to review the very first movie in the Saw franchise. And yes, it is called Saw.
Live or die. Make your choice.
That's right, you wild rascals out there. Your two favorite uncles are back here for more 31 Days of Horror. And today we're going back to 2004 when this franchise kicked off and started. 2004, I think it was Halloween night when this movie came out. I remember seeing it at the cinema in Illinois and just being blown away and spooked out by this and what it eventually became with this massive franchise. But this is where it all started off. James Wan directing the film, of course, Lee Winnell, his good writing partner and friend in this movie, Carrie Ewells, Danny Glover, and much, much more.
If you think about it, just all the movies that kind of spawned from this movie, it really opened up the horror world again when the genre had kind of gone quiet there for a while. And this one really brought something new to the table and really brought gore back, to the cinemas in a huge way. This is an extremely gory, franchise, and it spawned how many sequels now? 11, 10,
11
11
ish.
sequels. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy just the longevity of this. But it all kicked off from 2004 Saw, and what an introduction to the franchise this movie was. James Wan coming in and, you know, coming with a horror movie that, to this day leaves an impact and one that, is borrowed heavily off of from other franchises. And, the concept of it, these two men awaken and they're in this seemingly old kind of bathroom, basically. It looks like an old bathroom, and there's a dead body in between them. And then they look down, and there's some instructions, there's some hacksaws, and they don't know how they got there. And they read the instructions, and basically they have 6 minutes, to kill one another.
Yeah, which really sets up some really on the edge of your seat scenes, some things you have to do. Some really, really phenomenal performances here, Carrie Ewells and Lee Winnell. That's the first time I saw Lee Winnell back in the day, so I'm familiar with him. A really excellent job playing Adam. Carrie Ewells plays Dr. Lawrence Gordon in this movie. But yeah, they're in this really crazy situation, waking up. There's a dead body, as you see behind me. As of course, later on in the movie who that is, but in this really crazy situation of survival and what they have to go through. And like you were saying, this is kind of a time, early 2000s, they're doing, some like horror reboots, remakes, and things like that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in
Mhm.
2003. So they're trying to find, take horror in a different path. And this is what kind of sets up this huge, massive franchise. Exactly what we needed at this time. Something new, something refreshing, but also, taken from other franchises at the same time to a new generation. And that's exactly what it does with this movie. My favorite Saw movie is definitely the OG here, the original. I've watched the first few, the rest of them I haven't really seen because I know they're gonna get silly, but the OG is the best, really well written, directed. It gets to the point, sets up this iconic character, Jigsaw, one of the
Mhm.
horror icons out there. Tobin Bell, incredible as always, and of course that date scene. What happens with all that? You're like, oh my god, seriously?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome movie.
Iconic villain, Jigsaw Tobin Bell for sure. The voice,
Yes.
the little clown on the tricycle wheeling in, just how they recorded those little, segments where they play the video and Jigsaw's on there and gives them instructions and asks them if they want to play the game. All that stuff has lived on and bled into, horror ever since 2004 Saw. It really influenced a whole new generation of movies. And they, this one went on to do all those sequels after, but nothing touched the first one. Nothing touched the writing, the directing, everything was so well done. And if you think about it, James Wan, this is what he started out with. So this is kind of the birth of Blumhouse. and Atomic Monster, all that came, and James Wan's OG, horror movie here, and what a film it was. It was incredible. All the instructions and the games that were set up, in this first one, as the franchise went on, it just became so unbelievable and implausible. Just the amounts of different, games that they played and different torture segments, set up with different ways for the characters to meet their fates, basically. And no way that anybody could set all that up within the time frame of the movies. It just got worse and worse as the franchise went on, and got away from what was set up in this first one, which dealt a lot with these characters and their pasts and dealing with things that were kind of haunting them in their personal lives. And then when they wake up, they kind of have to figure out what's going on and who's involved. And you find out they're all interconnected, and it all has to do with the Jigsaw character. You find out who that is, but a lot of mystery was also within there too. It's just well done and well written, well directed. Everything was memorable about it. The actual scenes themselves, the games that were set up by Jigsaw in the first one were just really incredible. And Cary Elwes, we hadn't seen him on the big screens. At that time, he might have done a few movies, but everybody knew him from Princess Bride mostly at that point, and he kind of came back into the public Hollywood view again during this movie. So that was awesome. Lee Winnell showing up as Adam, the character, and then he would go on and become a director too, and obviously uh, direct a lot of awesome movies, write and direct a lot of movies for Blumhouse. And Danny Glover was in this playing a detective. So, he had that credibility. Shawnee Smith, her character, was obviously a character that would go on in this franchise, Amanda. So that character would go on, into the sequels. But man, it was just a really incredible first franchise, and, the first great horror franchise of the 21st century.
Yeah, for sure. This is a movie, the original I like to watch, or try to watch every Halloween season, every October, because it just never gets old. Really phenomenal. Simple at times. Introduction of this great iconic, horror icon, with Jigsaw, Tobin Bell. Cast is incredible. It's eerie, it's scary, it's gross at times. It's everything you want in a horror movie and what you want to watch during October. And 31 Days of Horror. So with that being said, the original Saw, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Carrie Oole's hair pieces.
And I'm going to give Saw 4.5 out of 5 Tobin Bell hair pieces. Remember when he was playing like he was a teenager and it was Tobin Bell?
Yeah. Like,
It was
let's
like
put a
the
hat on him. Pull a Dexter. Put a wig
yeah.
on him. Completely,
He's
completely
like
unbelievable. You want to play a game, kid? Yeah, this movie just got out of control. Completely unbelievable as they went on. But the first two are a good time. The first one being the best. Anyways, want to hear from all you torture enthusiasts out there. What did you like about the original Saw? What's your favorite film in the franchise? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out these wild dads on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for latest, greatest TV, movie news, and horror reviews.
horror reviews, you say? We've also, interestingly enough, reviewed a couple other Saw related movies. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So make sure to watch those. In the 31 Days of Horror, we reviewed part three and the Next Generation, both of those, which, we hadn't seen three before. So that was interesting and kicked off 31 Days of Horror this year.
And don't forget
So,
about the Shawshank Redemption.
ooh, I see what you did
Ooh,
there, but no, not during 31 Days of Horror. We'll do that, during the 31 Days of Frank Darabont. But
no!
but anyways, thank you guys for watching our review of the OG Saw. It kicked off the horror franchise that is still going on to this day, and should have been killed off maybe the first two or three at that. But really, this first movie, epic and iconic and awesome. You know, awesome horror movie. Definitely watch it during the 31 Days of Horror. been fun revisiting it after all these years, and maybe we'll be back next 31 Days of Horror. We can review Saw 2, which was, a pretty good sequel. So we'll see you for the next 31 Days of Horror video. And until that time, I am Uncle Henry Jigsaw.
And I'm Tobin Bell signing out till the next review for 31 Days of Horror.